Hi guys. I want to talk to you today about when fat loss may not be an appropriate goal to pursue for you. Now, I first want to say that I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with losing fat. Many people have all these different reasons for wanting to get lean. Maybe they're at an unhealthy body fat level. Maybe they're prepping for a show. Maybe they're prepping for a photo shoot or a wedding or some other big event. Maybe they just want to get healthy for their kids and they want to be able to move around the house and take a walk to the neighborhood without feeling pain in their joints. So many different reasons for wanting to lose fat. And but sometimes there are times when I can look at someone and say, I understand what you want to do and I understand where you're coming from, but based on what you're telling me, I don't think that fat loss is a good idea for you right now. And that is not always necessarily related to physiological reasons. It's not always that, okay, well, your calories are super, super low already, or your body fat is extremely low. You're a female in the low teens, or you're a male in the single digits, and you're not prepping for a show, and it's really getting to a point where it's really going to hurt to keep dropping your calories lower. Sometimes that's the reason why you should stop fat loss, but I think what I want to talk about today is a lot less obvious for a lot of people. So to illustrate, I want to tell you a story about myself from when I competed a few years back. This was in 2011, and I was working with a coach at the time who had me on a meal plan, and I was a full-time student. I was in college, so I had a full course load. I had a part-time job, and I was very busy, as I'm sure many of you can relate, and I was restricted to a meal plan at the time. I've since learned better ways, and I don't do meal plans anymore, but I didn't really know any better at the time, so I was following a meal plan. I was lifting weights, I was doing intervals a few times a week, and it was a 12-week prep for me, that period, and during that time, I believe I lost a total of 16 pounds of scale weight, and then I lost 2 inches off my waist, and I did pretty well at my show. I placed second in my class, but I remember feeling, by the time I stepped on stage, I was feeling not only very skinny, but also I was feeling weak. I was feeling run down mentally, and I was feeling a little bit of resentment because there were so many foods during my prep that I had not been allowed to eat that I typically enjoyed. So, and this is a very common scenario, unfortunately. In the 2 months after the show, I put on 20 pounds in 2 months. And, keep in mind, I'm 5'2". I'm not very tall. So putting on that much weight in such a short period of time can be pretty traumatizing. And it was in large part, I was rebelling against the super strict prep from before, and I found myself pretty much binge eating just about every night because I could. I also felt a little bit aimless after my show, after having been so focused for so long. I didn't really know where to go from there and what I wanted to do, and every night I pretty much convinced myself that, I was bulking, so this is okay, right? I'm not the only one who has done this before, where you try to justify your overconsumption of food. But so I worked my way up. I ate my way up 20 pounds. I had a lot of excess mass on myself, and I wasn't physically comfortable in my body because, clothes that used to hang off of me before were now tight, and I lived in yoga pants and baggy t-shirts. And that was really painful for me, but so the next few years I would try over and over and over again to diet back down. But every single time it wouldn't work, and it wasn't that the program was the problem. It wasn't that, I wasn't prescribed the right macros or that I wasn't on the right training program. It was that I was not mentally in the right place to be actively pursuing fat loss. And I think there's something to be said about spending enough time not actively chasing fat loss. I'm not saying you have to bulk, and I'm not saying you have to reverse diet forever and ever and ever and ever. But if you can just pull yourself out of the dieting mindset, I think there's a lot of mental and emotional healing that can happen. So I tried, and I felt like I was totally spinning my wheels. I would try to put myself in a calorie deficit because, you know, I am a coach. I know how to set a program for myself, but what I was missing the mental component. And I would follow the macros for a few days, but then something would happen and I would overindulge, or I would stop caring. And I found myself coming up with a long laundry list of excuses every single time that happened. And I always said, okay, tomorrow I'll start again. Tomorrow I'll start again. Well, tomorrow I'll start again went on for 3 years until about a little over a year and a half ago, I was just so sick and tired of trying to lose fat for 3 years straight, but not getting absolutely nowhere. I mean, how frustrating is that? You're working toward a goal, but you're constantly shooting yourself in the foot, and you're taking 2 steps forward and then 2 steps backwards. So finally I said, you know what? I'm tired of feeling like I'm fighting against my body every step of the way. I'm tired of constantly being in the dieting mindset without seeing the progress that I want to see. Because keep in mind, even if you're not making the progress that you want, even just thinking that you're pursuing fat loss, that is mentally very taxing. It's depleting. It depletes your willpower. And when you're not getting anywhere, it's very discouraging. So I said, you know what? I've been devoting so much of my time and stress and energy into trying to lose fat, and for 3 years straight, it hasn't gotten me anywhere. So I said, this obviously isn't working. I need to try something different. So I said, you know what? I'm tired of trying to lose fat. I'm done. I'm going to hit the brakes. I'm going to first work more on my mental well-being right now. I'm going to work on loving myself, accepting myself. I'm not going to count macros. I'm going to pay attention to portion sizes, obviously, and I will eat healthy for the most part, but I'm not going to obsess over how many grams of rice I just ate. I'm not going to be neurotic about the grams of protein. I'm just going to eat well to fuel my body, to feel good, and I'm going to work out, and my main goal is no longer to look a certain way, it's to feel a certain way. I want to feel confident about my body. I want to be able to look in the mirror and not pick apart every single flaw that I see. Instead, I want to be able to focus on the parts of my body that I do like. You know, I am really strong. I am confident if I let myself be. And my self-worth is by no means tied to the number on the scale. And once I let go of all of that, I cannot tell you how much relief I felt and how much stress was removed from my life, because I didn't have to worry about, oh my God, what are my measurements gonna say? I have to eat this many calories today, or else I'm not going to see the results that I have to get to the gym to work out. No, I released myself from any obligation, any kind of fitness, physical obligation, and this may seem very backwards, but once I did that, over the next 7 months, I shed 10 pounds effortlessly without even trying. And I am 100% convinced it's because I got out of my own head and I stopped trying to beat my body into submission. I stopped fighting against myself. I stopped trying to go harder and more extreme, because as much as you may know rationally and logically that the extreme method doesn't work, there's still that temptation, you know, to go the faster and harder route because you're convinced that you're the exception and you'll be able to keep the weight off. Guess what? You're not the exception. Don't count on being the exception. But really, the magic happened when I stopped trying to hate my body. I stopped trying to force myself to eat a certain way and to be a certain way. That's when I lost 10 pounds. And that was, so last June is when I said, oh, well, I've already lost 10 pounds. And I was really, at that point, starting to get into a really good place mindset-wise. And that's when I said, I wonder if I can get back on the bikini stage. And many of you guys know about my 20-week ghost prep that I did last year. And I worked with Paul Ravella for that prep. Because I was curious, I said, I'm in a very different set of mind this time, and I want to see if I can get stage lean and do well at another bikini show without experiencing any kind of rebound and without self-sabotaging and without having all those mental mindset games. And I did it, and it was amazing. And since then, I have not rebounded one bit, and I have a lot more confidence in my abilities now. But keep in mind, it took me a long time to get to that point. And so I think for those of you who are struggling to find the motivation to lose fat, if you think that you'd be more comfortable in your body if you lost X number of pounds, 10 pounds, 15 pounds, 20 pounds of fat, but you have been trying for months and months and months and you have not gotten anywhere, or if you've actually regressed and taken steps back and you just can't find yourself, you can't stick to a nutrition program for any appreciable length of time for it to actually work, maybe try not actively chasing fat. Instead of trying to look a certain way, maybe try and feel a certain way, okay? Sometimes it may simply be the case that you have way too much on your plate right now. You have too many responsibilities and you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different priorities, and you're trying to say that fat loss is priority number 2, but it's really number 6. If it's priority number 6, it's not a priority to you. So it may simply be that this is not a good time in your life to be trying to devote energy to fat loss. And there's nothing wrong with that, okay? You can always come back to fat loss next month or in 6 months or a year from now. But there's something to be said about feeling good first and learning to love your body and yourself where you are right now before you actively try and change it. And I know there will be many of you out there who are feeling very discouraged and are wondering, maybe you're never going to be lean again, or maybe you're not cut out to lose fat. That's not the case. I think that anyone has the potential to be lean or to look the way that they want, to improve their body in some capacity. But unless you have the mindset right first, then the physique will not come. And if it does come and your mindset's not right, then it's not going to stay. It's going to be temporary. You're going to get to where you think you look good, and then you're going to rebound right back unless you have your mindset in place. So let's work on that first, all right?